If you're searching for peace amongst the greenery, welcome to Gab Loves Plant Sydney. Well, good morning. As you can see, if we look out onto the balcony now, I have begun the process of planting up the troughs with the moss poles. I did this because we had a lot of rain and wind on the weekend again, and I wanted to get them in, and I've left the final one to show you what I did, but I needed to get a start on it, so I did that, and I think they're looking pretty good. They're quite tightly packed in. We will see if that works as they grow. For winter, I'm sure it's going to be fine. But in the summertime, I may decide to thin them out. But basically, I can fit 9 of these moss poles in each trough. Each trough is 99 centimeters long. So 9 of the poles fit quite nicely. And if I want to have this be a wall of greenery, I think that's going to work. So basically, what I have done is, as you can see, I have just planted them in. So we prepared the troughs just with that base of cocoa chips down the bottom and then just plain old potting mix on the top. And then I emptied out the all of the pots that I had along this fence. I emptied out the, first of all, put the poles in and then emptied out the rest of the potting mix, which had some amendments in it. You can see the perlite there. So I filled up the rest of the troughs with those. So I also decided that this is a philodendron mammae, and it's actually a crawler. It's not a climber, although sometimes it climbs. But this one never wanted to climb a pole, so I decided to release it from its drudgery of trying to be attached to the pole, and I've just planted it in the front here. I actually had 3 plants of it because it had pupped twice. So the pups are over here, and I've just got them doing what they actually want to do, which is to go along the surface, and we'll see how they go. Again, we are entering into winter now, or autumn and then winter now, so I'm not expecting a lot of growth from these over the next few months, but we will see what happens. I've got an albo in there, a Monstera albo in there, which we will see how that goes next year. With the sun coming in, I'm sure that it's going to get burnt, but I just thought, what the hell? I've got a number of them, and I would see how tough it can become after having a winter and then a spring and summer, and how it will deal with full sun in the afternoons. This one, I can't even remember what is in this one over here, but you can see something is popping out there. It was at one time alive, and now it is, well, it's still alive, but it was at one time growing up. And we'll see what that one is. The taller ones that I've got here are the Syngonium batik. I've got a Cebu blue there. This is a white knight, philodendron white knight, which has lost most of its whiteness. You can see a little bit of variegation there. See if that comes back. We've got an Adansonii and a, what's that one? A Scindapsus. It's a Scindapsus argyrius. And then on this one, we've got this is a Scindapsus as well. No, sorry, this is a Syngonium, sorry. And I can't remember which one it is, but I just love the backs of that one. It's so pretty. And this is a Epipremnum. This is the Epipremnum variegata, and it's actually grown off this moss pole. So just temporarily, I have attached it to the moss pole next door, as you can see here, and we will see what that looks like. Now, I will show you later on this afternoon how I potted them up, it's quite simple. You just shove them in. Those ones there are going to be in here along with some others. And then my plan is I've got this trough, which I had at my office at one stage about 3 contracts ago when I had an office in an actual office rather than my home. And I potted up these and took them in. So I'm going to plant these along with the bottom of the trough. So you can see I've already put a crocatum in there. That is a new $5 purchase, which is from Bunnings, which I'm just going to grow along. That is a climber as well. If that wants to climb up one of these moss poles in the future, it can. And these ones I've got in here, I've got a golden pothos, a marble queen pothos, snow queen pothos. That's another marble queen there. And then I've got the Maranta, just the green Maranta, the Lucanera. I've got lots more Marantas inside. So we'll see how they all go. Anyway, I shall clock off for now, and I will come back on in a little while, or this afternoon after I finish work, and I will show you what I do with this final trip. And then I can put the furniture back, and we can just wait for winter to finish and see how it all goes. Bit of an experiment, but that's what gardening's all about. Experimenting, changing things until you get it the way you like it, until you're happy and the plants are happy. Okay, see you soon. So I'm just going to bring these over a little bit closer so you can see what I am doing. So we'll put that one there. And then we'll move this out. Now I do have these connected, these little poles connected at the moment, but I will take them out. And I just connect them up with Velcro ties, which seems to work well. Got another one here, I think. Yep. Because we don't need the poles quite yet. But they do actually provide a stabilizing force for the whole fence structure, I have found. So I will be putting those back in once we get this planted up. Now, as I said before, I think, I do not have any holes in the bottom of these troughs. I've done that deliberately because I normally have an outdoor carpet along here, which I will show you when I finish planting everything and we get everything back together. I'm not sure if you can see that because I don't have any holes in the bottom, I still get a little bit of water from the rain that comes down, but it's nothing like as dirty or as heavy as I would if I had holes in the bottom of the troughs. We will see over winter when we have some very, very heavy storms whether that was a good idea or a bad idea. But for the moment, that's the way I've decided to run with this. So I think you'll be able to see from here. I might just adjust you a little bit down like that and then a little bit forward maybe. There we go. Okay, now as I said, it is a very simple thing that we're doing. We are literally taking the poles out of these pots and planting them up in the trough. This is basically a stick, and it looks like it was a Peru. So that will be yet another Peru if it grows up. And we'll just see what happens with it. I can always plant something else down the bottom, but as you can see, this is one of the ones that got destroyed by the sun. So most of my plants got wrecked by the sun, which is why I've cut most of them down. But anyway, we will see what happens. So basically, these are going to get planted at the back of the troughs here. And then I'm going to put things in the front of the troughs, and that's it. I mean, that is just as easy as it is to do these. So I'm going to start at one end, move towards the other end, and there we are. So might as well start with this end and this plant. I could, if I wanted to, use a trough, which I might do to get stuff out of the way, but really, this soil is pretty dry. I mean, it's got a little bit of stuff in it, but it's relatively dry. And I don't mind getting my hands dirty anyway. One of the reasons that I actually love dealing with plants is that for some reason, having my hands in the soil feels good. Getting back to nature. It's kind of like feeding the birds and my cat and other animals around me. I just love having living things around me. But when I feel the soil like this and just hold it in my hands, this is going to sound really woo-woo, and I'm not a woo-woo person, but I feel calm, and it kind of grounds me a little bit just to have my hands touching soil or plants or anything living. And of course, the soil is living with all sorts of microbes and things. And as you can see, it's not that dirty and damp, so let's get on with it. Okay, so basically, all I'm going to do, as I said, it's really simple, is move the soil away with my hands till we get down to the bottom of the trough. And then we are going to shove that in and backfill around it. And this time I'm going to do what I did not do the first time, which is take some of that soil and put it in the back and around. And if it makes a bit of a mess, that's okay. These are outdoor tiles because I'm on a balcony and I can sweep them up. And I know I probably shouldn't do it, but I also use my Dyson out here to get the last of the dusty bits up at times. So that is as easy as it is, as simple as it is. Really not a problem at all. So that's one. Let's take this little philodendron in bay next. And this one I'm just going to knock the pot off, which is as simple as doing that. These have been watered recently, so it's not crunchy. This one here, if you listen to that, you can see it's crunchy. This one isn't. This one's got quite a decent root ball. I don't want to wreck the root ball if I don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the soil out of the way. And for this is actually a little bit useful. So I'll put that one down like that while I move the soil. I'll actually show you the roots growth down the bottom of this one because there is quite a bit of root growth. So just to move that away, start it off, and then of course using my hands again, which really are sometimes the best tool. And with this one, because it does have a root ball, I'm making the hole bigger. So it will go in like that. But before I do that, I just want to show you the root growth on this plant. So let me show you first of all down the bottom. Can you see those beautiful roots growing down there? And then also at the back of the pole, you can see all of these roots growing up and down. And they have rooted in from aerial roots that grow on the plant at the front there, rooted into the back. And that is the sign of a healthy plant. So this is a little tag for it. So this in they've actually called it a philodendron New Yorker. If anybody is looking for it at Bunnings, or you can contact me and I can make you a cutting of it if you want, because there are tons and tons of bits of this plant that I could take cuttings from, and that is not a problem. Right. What I do is, if I do have a tag for it, I'm sticking the tag down the back here. And then once again, I'm just going to take some of the soil and fill in around the edges and the back. So that it's nice and neat and standing up. There we are. Right, next, might do the other Peru. So once again, you just bang it and out comes the soil. And as you can see, these were in my chunky soil mix. You can really see it on this one, I think, if I come forward a little bit. You can see the chunky soil mix, which has a lot of perlite in it and bark and things. This one also has a very nice root system. At the back, we've got some big roots there that you can see. So this was another plant that's going to be nice and healthy. So I will have to move this back to here. And things like this happen, the fronts fall off, etc. It's not really disturbing the roots, it's just extra soil that was there. So that's all okay. And we're going to move that back and pop it in there. And once again, we're going to fill up. So if you recall, I'm not sure whether or not these videos are going to be put up as separate videos, separate parts to the video, or as one continuous video. But if they're separate parts, you might recall that from my experience while I've been living here on this balcony for the last 6 months, I have learned that things dry out here a lot more than they did on my other balcony, mainly because this is north facing or northwest facing, so I get a lot of sun in the afternoons, and it's very hot sun, and there's also a lot of wind. So because of that, I am getting my plants are drying out a lot more. So what I've decided to do is, in these troughs and in all of the troughs along the large part of the balcony, and I will do a full balcony tour once everything is done again to show you how everything is as we go into winter. And then we can do another one in spring and I can show you what the winter growth has been like. But anyway, because I've decided I needed a much richer, more water retentive soil mix, what I've done is I have planted these troughs up with a layer of just cocoa chips, which is what this plant is in. So only cocoa chips down the bottom to about yay high. So what's that, 2 inches, about 6-7 centimeters. And then I've got the cheapest chips potting soil from Bunnings, which is the Garden Delight or something, and it's $4.95 for a big 25-liter bag, and I've just poured that on the top. And as I'm putting these in, those two are mixing a little bit, but basically, because I don't have holes in the bottom, if there's a thick layer of these of the cocoa chips at the bottom, that will provide a little bit of sort of almost drainage for the plants, so hopefully they won't end up living in a soupy mess. And then because I'm planting the plants, and they have been in my chunky soil mix, because I'm planting them in now with this potting mix, with this mixture, and adding in the other ones, there will be a little bit of perlite and other bits and pieces, other amendments, charcoal and things that do come into the plants, to the trough, just because I am reusing the soil that they've already been planted in to plant them in here. That also results in less stress on the plants. Okay, now I think my Atabapoense should be the centerpiece of this for when it grows up. This Atabapoense has growing with it some Tradescantia, because most of my pots have Tradescantia growing in them. I can just tear that out. This stuff grows like a weed. It's fabulous. It does attract lots and lots and lots of we call them caterpillars, which I do not like. But other than that, it's fantastic. So this one is going to go on this pole. And with these poles, let me show you. Let me come closer and I'll show you. With these poles, which I get from Temu, they come just in plastic and they come rolled up. So the sphagnum moss I use is sustainable sphagnum moss from New Zealand, but the poles have 5 holes going along. They actually connect at the back and you snap the pieces together, but they do have a bottom and a top. So the bottom bit has a portion like this that you can see here, which doesn't have any holes in it. The top bit you can tell because the top bit goes right up to there. That's the hole, and then that's it. So that's how you can tell the top and the bottom. What I do with the bottoms, because I don't want there to be a whole bunch of rot happening with the sphagnum moss, I put some soil in the bottom half of it. So if you have a look here, this is where the pot will come up to. The soil is at about this level. So if the soil's at that level, I'll put some soil in the bottom of this now, and then I will plant this right down the bottom, and this just saves too much rot happening from the moss poles. Now, if you get it a little bit one way or the other, it's not such a big deal, but it's just good practice to try and have a little bit of another sort of a medium rather than sphagnum moss in all of your poles for the bit that goes down into the pot. And the reason for having it at the bottom rather than having this sit on the top is basically for stability. If you had it on the top here, it would blow all over the place. But if you have it down here and it's all secured in, it's not going to blow as far. So basically, it's really simple. Once again, using your hands, you just shove the soil up and in. You know, when I was a little kid, I used to love going out in the backyard and making mud pies and being around the soil and the nature and things. And I think that's where my love of having my hands in the muck and the dirt came from. Right, so basically, I sort of pack that in a little bit. And this is just whatever's in this pot. And then I hold the bottom and put it in like that. There we go. So that is now in. Now the next trick, I'm just going to put some soil around the side so it doesn't fall over. So the next trick is putting this in the right direction. So I'm going to come around the other side. I'll just make some room. So hang on 2 secs. Just move this over here and just move over here. And I'll step over. And if I do have my little brush here. I'm making a mess below us here. So I'm just going to move some of this out of the way. I'm going to get my hair done today. As the grays are beginning to show through again, and I cannot wait. So I've got that happening at 1:30. It's now 12 o'clock, so I have an hour left to get this video done and dusted. Shouldn't take that long. Shouldn't take more than another 15-20 minutes, hopefully. Right, so this is the Atabapoense, and it's got lots of leaves and things. Now we have to take, first of all, we're going to take it out of here, and then we're going to decide how we're going to attach it to the pole. So first things first, like that, and then just gently pull it out. Now let me show you the roots on this, because you will be able to see that it's growing a lovely set of roots. They're beginning to wrap round, so it's definitely time to get it on a pole. So I'm going to slightly massage the roots, and this will not hurt the plant at all. But we're going to massage some of this soil off, and we're going to see how we want the plant to sit on the moss pole. So, okay, let me just put you in here. Put it in here so that I can show you. So this is the plant. We've got a number of sides of the plant. It doesn't matter which way the leaves are facing, because they will eventually face the way the sun is coming. So what we're actually looking at is the bottom of the stem to see where the roots are going and where the roots might most easily latch onto the moss pole, which is the thing that we really want to do. So if I show you up close here, this is the newest aerial root that's coming up here. And if you have a look right on there, I don't know if you can see those two bumps. I'll try and zoom in on the video and show you, but it's already putting out some bumps for some secondary roots. So this desperately wants to be in a moss pole or on the ground in the soil, because it wants to send out other roots and form its own root ball. So I think the best thing to do is to put it in with this side, because it's got this nice hunky chunky root, this side facing the moss pole. So basically we're going to just put it in here. We're going to make some room down the bottom as we have before. And because we've got so many lovely roots here, I'm actually going to spread them out a little bit so they continue to grow nicely. And I'm going to poke some of them in to the soil part that we had at the bottom of the moss pole there. And this nice one that wants to send out the secondary roots, I'm also going to funnel this in to the moss pole as well. Because once they go in there, they'll then start to go up and down and through the pole, which is exactly what we want for a nice healthy plant that is going to go up the pole. And the leaves will get much bigger as they do go up the pole. All right, so I'm going to squeeze everything together enough so that I can make sure that I backfill correctly around the pole. Here we go. So I'm now just going to put some soil in around here. There we go. Tap, tap, tap. Away. Right. Now that's going to move forward for the moment, but eventually it will attach itself to the pole and start making its way upwards. Okay. So there we go. So that is how I put something on a pole. Now I can, if I want to, I can get some Velcro tape and I can gently move the plant towards the moss pole so that it will more likely latch on. And I will do that. As you can see, I've done it here, and here I've done it with some little clips on this one. But with this one, I would just use Velcro at the bottom because it's still growing. I don't know that this is a very fast growing plant, although now that it's on a moss pole, it may just decide to shoot up, so we don't really know. Right, okay, let's continue and let's move on to the Cebu Blue, which we'll put next door. And this one has quite a bit of soil in the bottom, so let's see what happens when we do this. I'm just going to try and empty out some of this soil into this other little pot I've got here, rather than, there we go, making a huge mess. There we go. All right, so this has some roots down the bottom. Now this was a mid cutting, I think, of a plant, of the other plant, of one of the other Cebu blues that I had, and you can see that it's got some nice roots developing. So you can see the white roots there. I think you can see those at the bottom of there. So that's got some nice roots. And then you can also see here that there is a nice root that's coming down from the back here. It's coming right down here and it's nice and white. So that's a new root. So this will be very happy in this pot. And so we're just going to make some room for it. And we should plant it up. So I'm going to take these roots and I'm going to put them down the bottom at the front a little bit, so they can continue to grow outwards and take over the pot if they want to. And then once again, we are going to backfill. Now, it should be a lot easier to water this throughout winter and spring, and even summer, because what I intend to do is pretty much just water the poles. Don't worry about watering the rest of the trough, because any excess water will go down into the trough and will water any other plants. And because I'm planting up some pothos and things which are pretty tough, they won't suffer too much if they do get a bit dry. Plus, they will let me know when they need water by shriveling a little bit. So, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I've got a little bit more room in between these ones. So I can just move them up like this, because I do want to have an equal 9 poles in each planter. But there we go. So we can just put that like that. Now, mass being what it is, when you take up mass for this, you're going to have extra mass here that we want to make room for, because we want to be able to put the other plants in. So let me do this. Okay. Let's put our little Monstera mint in here. And believe it or not, this Monstera mint came from Bunnings. I was really shocked when I saw it, and there were actually 2 plants in here. So one I've got inside growing, and one I thought I'd put out here and see how it does outside. There were 2 plants in the pot, and you can see it's not quite growing roots yet. Or a few, it's growing a few roots. Look, you can see there are a few roots down the bottom. There's a little bit of burn damage on this one as well. Anyway, we shall just see how it goes. So, once again, popping it down the bottom, and then backfilling with some soil. Put some soil at the back as well. And there we go. Right. Now the last one that I've got now for this is my Cistercis mirabilis, and this one has had a big water, and there's water in the bottom, so this is going to make a mess. So what I might do is take this off camera and put it into another vessel. 2 seconds. Oops. Okay. So this one as well is developing some nice healthy roots. This was actually on the rescue pile, and had basically no roots when I got it, but you can see that healthy root system now. So This one's just going to go straight in here. I've never had one of these plants before, but I think they're very pretty. So I thought to myself when I saw it, I think it was $5. When I saw it in the $5 pile, I thought, absolutely, let's grab it and let's see if we can rehab it and make it happy to grow on moss bowl for us. As I said, no idea how to look after them, but there we go. All right, so that's basically it. It's pretty simple to do. I've got room for 2 more here, which I will put in. In the meantime, I'm going to put this at the back because that says what it is in case it dies and I can't find it anymore. I will put a little bit of water just in here because that was left over. All right. Oh, this is going to go back over there, and we are going to tie these to the fence with those Velcro ties, and then we're going to tidy things up, and I will figure out which 2 plants from inside I want to bring out to put here, because I have lots of plants on moss poles inside as well. So we shall do that. Okay. I might say goodbye for now, and I will show you once everything's all cleaned up what it all looks like, and what happens when I pot up some of these things here, which have definitely outgrown this pot, and I will put a crawler in here, I think, but that will be nice. So see you later. Hopefully next time you see me, I'll have had my hair done and it will be looking a lot better than it does right now. Thanks for watching.